Welcome to the workshop. My name is Lisa Kroll, and I am an NSCC English as an Additional Language Support Specialist. Today, we will be talking about email etiquette. At the end of the workshop, there will be some resources that will help you continue to improve these skills. Let's get started. The objectives for this workshop are to review the purposes of emails and to explore professional email etiquette, which is the rules for using respectful, clear, and professional language in email communication. We will examine professional language and finally review available resources. Take a moment to think. When do you use emails? Why do you use emails? We use email for personal and professional communication. Email replaces paper or sending mail by post in many cases. Emails are a great way to collaborate with others. And because emails are written, they can also be legal documents. Take a moment to think about what the parts of an email are. Here we can see a sample email. At the top, the person you want to send it to is the primary or the main recipient. Underneath that, you can find CC, which means carbon copy, and BCC is blind carbon copy. That's for a secondary recipient or a person that you don't want to be the main receiver of the message. There's also subject, where you should include a meaningful subject line. Then the main body of the message, and that should be followed by a signature. In this example, we can see how you might structure a message. You should start with an opening. The opening you use will depend on the formality or how well you know the receiver. Then you should begin with an introduction. You would write a main body next, and often the main body will end with something like a closing statement where you ask for some type of answer, or you might even ask for someone to do something like an action. And finally, you should close with some type of closing. Again, it will depend on how well you know the person you're writing the email to help you decide which closing to use. Here are some professional email tips. Use a professional email address that is easy to remember. Use CC effectively. CC means to send a copy of the email message to another person that the email message is not directly written for. For example, you may want to send an email to your instructor for your group, so you CC your group members but send just one message to the instructor. Also, think about who you are writing to and if it is appropriate to use formal or informal language and tone. The language you choose to write to a friend might be very different than the language you choose to write to an instructor, or in a more formal situation such as speaking to a landlord or the bank, for example. Email etiquette is rules for using respectful, clear, and professional language in email communication. What do you think good email etiquette includes? Why is email etiquette important? Well, first impressions count. A poorly written email can create a bad impression. Emails are permanent records. They can be saved and shared, so they should be professional. And clear communication leads to better understanding and less confusion. Use a meaningful subject line. The subject should be brief and clear. Create a short specific title of about 3 to 5 words. Plan your writing. Who are you writing? Why? Do you need to ask for something before a specific time? How well do you know the person you're writing? The tone and language will change depending on your relationship with the person. Our tone with friends and family is usually informal. You may use an informal tone with classmates and a semi-formal or formal tone with instructors, depending on how formal they act with students in class. A formal tone is usually most appropriate when writing to apply for a job or writing someone we don't know well. And avoid sending emails when angry, frustrated, or too tired. Be sure to include an opening greeting and a closing one too. We'll look at some examples next. Here are some sample email opening greetings. We start with more formal at the top and then get less formal at the bottom. To whom it may concern. Dear hiring manager. Dear. Hello. Hi. Hey, which is the most informal. And here are some sample email closings. Again, more formal at the top, becoming informal at the bottom. Sincerely. Regards or best regards. Thank you. Warmly. Warm wishes. Thanks. Cheers. Next are some things we should do for professional language in emails. Do use introductory sentences. Introduce yourself and the topic or intention. Use organized paragraphs. Be concise, clear, and accurate. Use full words, for example, nice to hear from you, instead of the number 2. Proofread your writing for correct grammar and spelling. And use an accessible font, for example, Arial, that's easier to read. These are some things we should avoid or not do when writing professional emails. Avoid spelling or grammar errors. Don't use an unclear subject line or message. Avoid unnecessary information, inappropriate language, examples, or humor, emojis or GIFs, informal abbreviations, for example, nice to hear from you, using the digit 2 and the letter U instead of the full word YOU, and avoid all caps, italics, or acronyms. Let's try a practice activity. Read the email and answer the questions. 1. What is the purpose of this email? 2. How do the sender and the recipients know each other? 3. Is the tone or formality appropriate? 4. Does the email have all the needed parts? And 5. Is there anything that could be improved? Take the time you need to read this sample email to answer questions 1 to 5. If you need to, you can pause the video. Now read a revised copy of the email. Why is this one better? So why is this a better version of the email? This time they used a professional email address and clear subject line. The opening greeting is appropriately more formal. They included a clear introduction and main body that ended with an action. Please find attached. They proofread and edited for correct spelling, grammar, and no caps, or not using capital letters when not appropriate. They avoided using contractions or short forms and used full words instead, like I would instead of I'd. They removed the emoji, and they included a formal closing signature. To review, practice writing emails regularly. Proofread emails before sending. What did you learn about email etiquette? Do you now feel more confident about writing an email? Thank you for taking the time to participate in this video workshop. If you have any questions, please feel free to email eal@nscc.ca. Resources and references will now follow. There are many available resources for NSCC students. Please take some time to explore them. Visit the NSCC EAL supports page to view the schedules for upcoming EAL workshops, conversation circles, and to book an appointment with an EAL support specialist. Use the EAL guide for additional resources to help you with your language learning. Use NSCC's writing guide for tips, advice, and information for all your writing needs. You can find all these resources and more on the EAL Supports Connect page and link on the screen. Connect is NSCC's intranet and requires your NSCCW number and login.